Our first speaker today is Diane Greenlee, who is delivering her fourth speech in her level 1 of the dynamic leadership pathway. The purpose of the project is to practice giving, receiving, and applying feedback. She will deliver a speech that she's written today, receive feedback, and then give this same speech using the feedback from her first speech. Afterwards, she will serve as a speech evaluator during a club meeting and be evaluated on her ability to deliver constructive feedback. Diane's topic today is about her love for Japanese animated TV shows and films. Anime movies have brought her many smiles throughout her childhood and into adulthood. Help me welcome Diane Greenlee, Like What You Like.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster Coach Lisa. Hello, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guest. Is there anything that you enjoy that you're embarrassed to tell people about? I don't necessarily mean guilty pleasures, but things that you think a grown-up isn't supposed to like. I used to be embarrassed to tell people that I like Japanese animated TV shows and movies, more popularly known as anime. I don't tell many people that I buy the new Pokemon games every year, or that I was downright obsessed with Animal Crossing during the pandemic. Side note, if you ever want to tour my island, assuming you have any idea what I'm talking about, let me know. The truth is, we all have these things that we're embarrassed to tell people about because we're afraid to be judged, or we think we're not supposed to like these things. I think it's perfectly okay to be conscious of who you share your joys with, but I also think we unlock another level of happiness when we accept ourselves for liking the things that we like. That's why I'm going to tell you about my love of anime and how good it feels to lean into the joy that it brings me, regardless of what anyone else thinks. I first discovered my joy or my love of anime when I was growing up. I grew up in the 90s, and the 90s were a huge shift in marketing and entertainment towards children. Think about how many animated movies flooded the movie theaters. Disney, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network all started competing for children's attention. Cartoons were no longer just being shown on Saturday mornings, and video game technology and culture exploded. I personally fell in love with anime like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, and what would later become my absolute favorite, Studio Ghibli movies. In the mid-'80s, a group of 3 individuals in Japan formed a private animation studio that they called Studio Ghibli. This is where they began producing animated films using hand-drawn techniques that employed water and acrylic paints that created a lot of a cozy European art style with a lot of nature in the scenes. Many of their films have gone on to win awards globally and have been dubbed in multiple languages. Many of the films have also had their characters voiced by famous actors like Christian Bale, Liam Neeson, and Kirsten Dunst. While the movies were very popular when they came out, they've been having a bit of a resurgence the last couple of years. Merchandise is being sold by stores like Hot Topic, Box Lunch, Amazon, and Etsy. You may recognize one or more of the characters behind me. The truth is, I didn't really know about many of the movies growing up. I only knew about one. It's hard to put my finger on exactly what it was about that one movie that stood out and stuck with me. My first introduction to Studio Ghibli was the movie Kiki's Delivery Service, a movie about a young witch that must move to a new town on her own and learn how to be a witch. She starts a flying delivery service and inadvertently goes on a journey of self-discovery, as one does. I think what stood out about this movie to me are things that I've noticed in a lot of the movies that I've seen from this studio. The soundtrack is cozy. There's a lot of nature in the scenes and bright, soothing colors. The surface level story is innocent, but there are deeper themes that anyone can take with them and apply to their own lives. All of this combines to create a cozy nostalgia, and I often find myself putting on the movie soundtracks when I'm working or going back to some of the more innocent films when I'm having a hard day. It's also been a bonding opportunity for my daughter and I, as she, like me, finds a lot of comfort and joy in one of the movies. Unfortunately, I haven't completely converted her. However, if I'm going to walk the walk, I should just let her enjoy the things that bring her happiness. In my last speech, I talked about happiness and ways to increase your happiness baseline. I think that one of the things you can do to best serve yourself that way is to let yourself like the things that you like instead of liking the things you think you're supposed to like or pretending you don't like certain things at all. Don't kill your own joy just because you're afraid people are going to think you're silly or immature. I've had many people roll their eyes or laugh at me for liking some of the things that I like. I shared with you that I like anime, but I love plenty of other things that some people might find silly. I love to play video games like Mario Party and Pokemon. I love 90s music and have been known to belt out every lyric to Spice Girls and Backstreet Boys when I'm driving. I love romantic comedies, whether in books or movies. And I also love Harry Potter so much that when the books were first being released, my mom used to stand in line at midnight every time one was released, and I would binge it in 3 days. I'm also not exaggerating when I say that I've seen the movies over 24 times. All of these things bring me joy, so why should I pretend that they don't? I once read that a way to show yourself more acceptance and love is to pretend that when you're talking to yourself, you're talking to the child version of yourself. If I were talking to 8-year-old Diane, I would not put her down for liking the things that she enjoys. I would lift her up and cheer her on. What secret joys are you holding back? And what do you plan to do about it? Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Yay. Awesome job. If we